Ugh. Why am I out of breath? I don't know. I made stew. It was fucking delicious. I mean, I say was in the past as if it's not there anymore, but it is. Because I made a big pot of it. Imagine that. Cooking economically. Like the poor boy I am. No, I didn't have a statement to make about poverty. I could make a statement about poverty, but and cooking economically doesn't really say anything about poverty. But I don't know. I guess that's where my head was at. Um, I have a sneaking suspicion that the meat I used was off, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So I'm kind of just eating it because it's really good. Um, and seeing if I get further nausea. I think it's okay. Which brings me on to the other thing I wanted to talk about. Um, what I suspect is the actual reason for my nausea. I have an admission. I have a thing to admit. Um, which it hurts my pride. Actually, it hurts. But I humor. I try to humor the difficult things in life. I'm not saying I'm some sort of fucking ubermensch, uh, or somebody who is even really trying to be the best that they can be. Because I don't really believe in that, you know. I believe in mastery and pursuit of expertise and finesse and passion. I think there's a lot of value in that. I think that it's one of the really maybe one of the only sort of motivators for me in life, right? I believe in that, I truly do. But God, I just completely fucking lost my train of thought. Uh, anyway, I uh, I don't believe in a lot of things or myself or anything. Oh no, fuck my head. Jesus Christ. End me. I had a whole thing in it, so now it's gone. Anyway, I still remember at least what I was originally trying to talk about, which was my admission. Um, so I have a lot of pride. Pride myself as a man. May not be a man, but I pride myself as a man, whatever that means. I imagine the qualities that I. Yeah, well, no. The way I see it is there's kind of like two types of men, right? There's in this sort of archetype of thought, philosophical thinking, if it is philosophy or not, I don't know. But there's a lot of like, ugh, these sort of like high status male, like the Andrew, what's his name, Tate, and these sort of people that preoccupy themselves with sort of like high status male behaviors and all this shit in modern society that nobody gives a fuck about. And then there's the other side of the equation, which is people like me who are very pro utilitarian. That is the sign of masculinity. I would be very much that way inclined. I believe a man should be able to do everything himself. He doesn't need a woman, he doesn't need anyone else. He just does shit because he needs to do shit. I don't I don't like it when and I have heard this in my life, believe it or not, where men are like, "Ooh," it's so weak to me. Oh my god, it's like, ooh, I'm hungry. I need a woman to cook me a fucking meal. It's like, oh my god, you can't fucking cook your own dinner. You can't cook any fucking food whatsoever. Oh no, like Jesus. Oh, it's like the epitome of weakness, you know. Um, I, I need a woman to wash my clothes for me. It's like, how do you live, dude? Fuck. So I would be very much in that camp, you know. No, I'm certainly not one of these guys that are like my high status male, so I need to embody that so I can treat women like shit and then make them become my slaves in my fucking harem. You know, no, I'm more the my society is full of these fucking morons. So I need to exit society so I can live by myself, and I don't need anybody, and I especially don't need a woman to wipe my arse for me, you know. um, oh, that's funny. But yeah, no, my ambition is because I have sort of this pride in myself and sort of my masculinity. It's very hard to sort of admit certain aspects of yourself. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So, you know, I'm not claiming to be some sort of like, I don't value becoming some sort of perfect man or something, right? But I do consider it important to do the uh, 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 the difficult thing, right? I don't really have a better way to put it. You have to do the difficult thing in life. Not always. You don't have to make your life extremely difficult, but there's a lot of benefits to doing the difficult thing, right? Whatever that may be, emotionally or otherwise, right? You have to walk up the hill, right, to build your muscles. And it goes for all things, right? Intellectual or otherwise. You have to challenge yourself. And one of the challenges that I'm going through, at least have been over the past couple of years, maybe. I remember talking about this before in one of my videos, but I set all my videos to private, and I'm the only one who watches them anyway. So, plus, I don't really want anybody to watch them. You know, it's kind of weird. This is mostly just my diary log talking to myself, because I can't be bothered writing an actual diary. I used to, but I can't anymore. Um, yeah, so I've been chipping away at my ego over the past couple of years. I'm trying to break some of that down, because I am painfully aware that it's kind of fossilized and it's become a bit of a statue and an obstacle for me to get around sometimes. So it needs to be reduced somewhat. Uh, so it's hard for me to admit certain things, such as I'm lonely and stuff like that, right? But another thing today actually is relevant to today. Like, I cannot, I admit that I cannot handle any stress anymore. It's actually quite alarming because it's actually very alarming because I, uh, I thought it would go away. It's kind of been this way since I got divorced, since my marriage. And it's only gotten worse since then. Only. And that's troubling because normally when I leave things alone and I don't really do anything with them, they kind of work themselves out. But this is not. It has only gotten worse to the point that if there's any sort of stressor in my life, I cannot handle it at all. Like, I start to feel physically sick almost immediately. And it's not quite at the sort of state yet where I will instantly trigger a panic attack or something. But I have had panic attacks before a couple of times, and I have no control over it. And for somebody that prides themselves in having a lot of control over themselves and their lives, that's very hard to reconcile with yourself, very hard to come to terms with, you know? And nothing particularly bad even happened, and it was resolved within a few hours. I had a unresolved bureaucratic issue that I thought was resolved, but wasn't resolved because the person on the other end who was supposed to be doing his bureaucratic job did not do his bureaucratic job, and then when and there are consequences to that only come back to me, not to him. And then when I asked him about it, he didn't understand what I was talking about. It gave me an answer that was not related at all. So I took steps and solved it myself, and now it's done. Good. No, there wouldn't have. See, this is what makes the panic that I'm experiencing when anything bad happens so bad, because even the consequences of that little issue, if I didn't resolve it, wouldn't have been that bad. It's just annoying to deal with. And I was annoyed because I wanted it done. And I thought that it was done and it wasn't done. And because it wasn't done, I didn't want to have to sit and worry about it for another week. Um, it was about my woodworking business. I used to get a little bit of a grant over a period of a year to as a startup business, right? And that's free money. It's a grant from the government. It's their system that they put up. I don't have to do anything other than uh, declare my expenses and my income, which I did, and it was done. And then it ran out, and the guy was like, "Okay, we're at that period now where we had to stop the payments, and you're on your own." I'm like, "All right, great, thank you for the help." And then it was done. But then I started getting messages because they have a little government system that I was logged into. I have an account with, and I started getting the messages that I used to get where they were asking me for uh, my income and expenses, and I ignored it, thinking somebody would take care of it because clearly it's a mistake. And then I still kept getting them, so I went on and I'm like, I don't, because it was somebody else sending these messages, not the guy that I was dealing with. And I'm like, I don't need to report my income or expenses anymore because I'm not getting the government grant, and everything that I do will be on my own time. You know, if I make enough money that I need to start doing taxes to the government quarterly, there's like a watershed, and I'm not at the watershed because I don't make fucking shit, and I'm not making anything with my wood anymore. So it's not really something I need to think about anymore, and that's something that I do in my time anyway. You know, it's nothing to do with them. And the guy got back to me, and he's like, he just went right over his fucking head what the problem was. I hate anybody it came off very much like they felt like they owned me. And I know a little bit of this is projection, but a little bit of it is also reality. They behave in a way that they feel like they own you, which I can sure as fuck tell you that they do not. You know, I'm a free man, and this is a free country. And I'm not in school anymore. Um, Nobody has any authority or agency over me. I don't give a damn if I don't break the law. You can't do shit to me. You know what I mean? And that's very much the way that I look at it. But long story short, the just the such a simple little thing that could be easily resolved and was easily resolved and had minimal consequences just like completely ruined my day. Like, God, I felt so sick that I did think it was my stew, because I was making stew at the same time, and I had a sample bowl when it was done. And this was around about the time I was still dealing with the thing, and I just felt so ill, like I thought I was going to throw up. I hate throwing up. I avoided it at all costs. But I felt so ill, and it must have just been the stress of it, the stress of dealing with just something so simple, you know. It's like, and it feels like such a weakness to admit that, you know, that I can't even handle like simple stressful things anymore. And this sort of thing I used to breeze through when I was in my 20s, you know. I don't know why I'm pointing at my stew like that's the cause of my problems. You know, these kind of issues I would breeze through in my early 20s, but now anything like maybe a relationship breaks down and I get into an argument with a person, even the act of the argument. And it's not just like stress, it's not anxiety is the only emotion too. When it's something with relationships and I feel like there's an injustice at hand, or uh, I am not to blame for the provocation. It's not my fault. Oh, the rage that I feel inside is kind of scary sometimes, and it makes me not want to deal with people ever again. Because what happens if I'm in a situation and something bad happens, I don't want that. I don't want to hurt anybody in my life, you know what I mean? Like, I just want peace and quiet. Uh, and people don't like peace and quiet. People like to, in they don't have avenues of output for their ego and their self, so they imprint on the world in their relationships and sort of how they interact with the world, because they don't have a body of mastery, an art or a creative outlet to funnel that into, where I do. So I find that a lot of people they kind of put these strange energies into their relationships, and I don't like that. I don't like it, because if you're in a relationship with me, um, that's not okay, because I'm just there to love you. You know what I mean. I don't need to play games. It's not a part of my equation to play games. In fact, I fucking hate games, because if somebody's playing games with you, it means that they feel like they're smarter than you to begin with, which means that they don't respect you. And if you don't respect me, number one, you're a fucking idiot. Number two, we don't do that. That's a waste of time. That's not something that we play with. Some things you don't pervert. Uh, yeah. So that's my problem. I don't know how to resolve it. I've been to therapy like last year when my nanny died. Uh, I mean, granted, we didn't actually talk about my nanny or anything like that, but or anything really fucking important at all. And then she cut me off, but um, and then we couldn't really talk about any of my actual issues, such as anger, because I was a woman to begin with, and I can't talk to a woman about anger issues because it's a woman and she'll get scared. Um, anyway, so I couldn't do any of that in therapy. I don't really know. It's so weird. Trying to explain these problems to somebody who doesn't have them is so weird. How do you explain to somebody that you don't have control? You used to have control over everything about yourself to such an extreme fine degree. And then suddenly one day you don't have control over those things anymore for no reason. And when you say you don't have control over them, it doesn't mean that you're just gonna walk around and pull your fucking dick out or something like that. It's not that type of control. It's control over emotions where you fucking panic. I just fucking panic. I can't help it. I just feel sick in my stomach. Oh, it's such a soul sickness. It's such a deep illness. I can't get rid of it. Feels like fucking tar dripping off the walls or something. And I don't know how to scrape that out. And I do my due diligence and all this stuff that you should be doing. Apart from the big stuff like making new friends and whatever, and living a normal life. Um, but I do all the small stuff, like, the stuff that's good for your health, like walking. And walking is such a big thing for me. I have been walking consistently for a couple of days now. It feels nice, feels good. The benefits will not always be obvious and immediate, but you do it anyway. You had to live without instant gratification because that's all that our culture has become now. You have to do without expecting to see immediately, but then eventually, one day, with faith in yourself, you will see, and then you will understand, and then through that understanding, you gain a wisdom, a little nugget of information that you can use in the future again. Oh, I'm feeling shit. I'll go for a walk. Eventually, I will feel better. So I've been doing walking. I've been trying to keep a little bit of routine. Obviously, this drama today with the government guy has thrown off my routine a little bit, but that's okay. I will make up my 500 words of my book later tonight. I've already slept. I have a free house again, which is great. I had a little bit of a nap because I was feeling a bit sick when I got out because my sleep is a bit jarring at times. I had some dinner, my stew, which is so good. Ah, oh, so delicious. Um, which needs to go in the fridge soon. Um, and I'm sort of letting it settle, but I don't feel sick, which makes me think that the nausea was not my stew, and was indeed the bureaucratic nightmare. Um, that's fine. And what else can I do to sort of help my mental whateverness? Try to get socializing in whatever way you can. I did have a conversation today. It was nice. Uh, with my mother, whom I don't talk to all that often. Because it mostly just involves her venting to me. But I was happy to listen today, and not give her the questions that she requires in order to keep talking. Um, and that was good. That felt enriching. Not something I want to do every day, but it felt enriching and useful. And that's kind of the only social avenue that I can really take at the moment. So, one thing that I can do is I can look into those writing groups, which maybe I'll do that this evening, because that would be useful if I could find something kind of nearby where I can just go at certain times and, I don't know, sit around with a bunch of fucking twats. And that's it. That's all there is. It's all he wrote. That's it. The end. The last page in this chapter.